Just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you all for being here. My name is Michael Stroik. I work for 3M in our community relations organization, and just thrilled to be hosting this conversation on behalf of AAAS, our partner, doing such amazing work. Just want to thank you guys for everything that you're doing and for everybody to take part in the talk we have today. So my name is Michael Stroik. I'm kind of the pseudo MC. So you're going to see a little bit of me coming up here, coming out and introducing people and doing things like that. I've never been a MC before. So if you like awkward transitions or just general discomfort, you'll look to me, you'll be very happy with that. But the good news is we have amazing speakers and amazing workshops where you're going to get involved and you're going to be engaged in talking specifically on the work that we're going to be doing. And just a little bit about, as you look around the room, I know through the conversations, you're seeing some colleagues, you might see people you don't recognize as well. We wanted to share a little bit from the registration about who's in the room, right? From what sectors. One of the things we know in 3M Gives, that's our team name within 3M, is our community relations and social impact work, is that we want to bring together different sectors as we start thinking about all of the challenges and issues that we're facing in STEM equity and other issue areas that we're involved in. And so you can see the breakdown for what we have here, and we think that's a really important part to start thinking more systemic in how we want to be involved in addressing and engaging on social issues as well. The workshop interest areas, these were what you selected when you registered to come in. Now, obviously, these are not an exhaustive list of equity issues within STEM and skilled trades and in these spaces within education. But these are what AAAS has been hearing about and engaging with as they go to different summits around the world. As they're building this national strategy, having conversations like we're having here today, what they're learning about is these are issue areas that continually pop up. And they want to break down and engage deeper in those. And we're going to provide support, resources, feedback through those conversations that's going to help build that national strategy that AAAS is taking the lead on overall. All right, so I'm excited to welcome both Sudip and John to the stage. I'm going to read a little bit from their bios just to recognize them. Sudip Parikh is the 19th Chief Executive Officer of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, AAAS, and executive publisher of the Science family of journals. Parikh has spent 2 decades at the nexus of science, policy, and business. Took on his current role in January of 2020. So you think about how much the world flipped. Give you a lot of credit for your leadership in that space, how much the world has changed during that pandemic. An active member of the scientific advocacy community, Parikh serves as a board member and officer for several impactful organizations. With Sudip is John Benovitz, my boss here at 3M. And here at 3M, he's our Chief Technology Officer and Executive Vice President of Innovation and Stewardship since 2017. In this role, he leads more than 8,000 scientists who connect 3M's 51 technology platforms to solve customers' needs worldwide. Many of you who took the tour before this of the Innovation Center got to learn a little bit about those technology platforms. And he's responsible for the 3M Global Environmental Health and Safety Organization to ensure that 3M products are manufactured safely, sustainably, and of high quality. Like Sudip, John serves on a variety of boards for very impactful organizations. Please put your hands together for Dr. Parikh and then Dr. Benovitz.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, I like that. That's a little bit of energy. Good afternoon. We'll take that. Hey, I want to thank all of you for being here. It matters. It matters that you show up for conversations about things that you care about. And this is something that we all care deeply about. I want to thank 3M for their commitment to this mission of the STEM Opportunity Alliance. The STEM equity and excellence are intertwined. And the fact that 3M shows up, the fact that the AAAS shows up is just, and the fact that you show up is telling. It's what gives me optimism that we're on the right path. We spend a lot of time at AAAS thinking about what is the future of the scientific enterprise going to look like? What's it going to look like? And AAAS has a long history of working in this space. For over 40 years, we've realized that you can't have scientific excellence and achievement without having a diversity of experience and thought and background in the room. And a lot of that has been led by my colleague, Dr. Shirley Malcolm, who's joined us here today. Shirley is a longtime leader in the space of realizing that we've got to bring the worlds of scientific promise and potential and hope that comes from science together with the workforce that is that's required for it. Now, but here's the thing: we've made a lot of progress in that time, in those 40 years. Although I think it's plateaued in the last couple of decades. But there's a vision that the STEM Opportunity Alliance has been brought together for, and that vision is that a child that's born here in St. Paul or in Minnesota, or a child that's born in the Mississippi Delta or the Central Valley of California, anywhere in the United States, that they are going to feel a sense of belonging in the STEM enterprise, and they're going to feel it without ever knowing that there were people like Shirley or people like any of you who had to fight for it, who had to drive it. It needs to be a birthright, because when we have that sense of belonging in the scientific enterprise, then I'm very confident that right here in St. Paul, there's a child growing up who's going to someday work on the products that are going to pull carbon dioxide out of the air. They're being developed here at 3M, or they're going to work on seeing the farthest galaxies. Those children are being born right now, and we want them to feel that sense of belonging in the sciences. And so I know that sense of optimism that I have comes from the energy I sense in rooms like this. And so when Michael had to ask you to stop the conversations, every room that we go into for the STEM Opportunity Alliance feels that way. We kicked this initiative off at the White House back in December of last year. And Jay Shree was there, and several others in this room were there. The energy in that room was like what you heard in this room, except even louder. I mean, it was the rafters were shaken at the White House and at OSTP. And it was because it was the first time that from every sector, from industry, from government, from academia, had come together and said, across this entire continuum of people working in the space of trying to diversify the STEM workforce, we've been brought together with one goal of developing a plan to get to that mission, to get to that vision that I talked about, of complete belonging in the sciences. And so the STEM Opportunity Alliance, what it's really trying to do over this course of this year, kicked off at the White House, is to go around the country and do two things. The first is to co-create with the folks actually working in this space, a national strategy to get to that vision. A national strategy such that by 2050, we are in a path where we have a scientific workforce that is going to be able to take us to the next level of achievement, the next level of scientific excellence. The second thing that it's doing is along that path, pulling together all the activities that folks are already doing, because we didn't invent this. We didn't have this come out of our brains. This is work that you all are doing right now. And so if we have these two things, a national strategy that recognizes everything we have to do from K-12 education and before through postgraduate education and beyond, if we have that strategy, and then we also have a compendium of all the activities that are taking place around the country, things that are happening on the south side of Chicago and in Native American country in Oklahoma. If we have that compendium, we can then say, what are we already doing? What are the activities already taking place? And where do we have gaps? Where do we have things that the federal government needs to fill in gaps? Where do we have places where private industry needs to fill in gaps? And where do we have places that community activists need to fill in gaps? And that's how you get to change. That's how you get to progress. That's how you get to that vision of the child being born here who never questions that they belong in the scientific enterprise. And I have to tell you, the Alliance continues to grow. It launched with 75 organizations. I think we're up to now 125 organizations. They're accounting for more than $1.6 billion in activity in STEM equity. Let me just say those numbers again. 125 organizations and over $1.6 billion in funding that's been committed to these activities. It's not because there's not energy. It's not because there's not resources. It's not because there's not people who are trying to get this done. We have to act in a coordinated manner, and we've got to figure out how to get to solutions in a way at scale, And even today I get to thank 6 new partners for joining the STEM Opportunity Alliance. And so just today, I'm going to announce that 2030 STEM has joined the Alliance. I don't know if there's anybody here from 2030 STEM. The American Chemical Society. I know we've got a couple of representatives there. We've got the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. Is here. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. The National Girls Collaborative Project has also joined. The SciTech Institute and the USA BMX Foundation. And I want to thank them, and I want to thank all the other organizations that have joined as part of the Alliance, because this is work that's going to be done by all of us, and the credit is going to go to all of us. This is the thing. I learned a long time ago that you get a lot more done when you don't want to take the credit for it. And so at AAAS, this is all we are is a framework. We're a framework for the STEM Opportunity Alliance. The work, the credit, the activity is by you all. Is by you all and by others across the country that are working in this space. And so I think this is our seventh gathering like this around the country. And we kicked off, like I said, in Washington at the White House. We were at the New York Museum of Science. We have been at SNAP in LA. We're going to be in Chicago over the weekend, this Saturday. There are many hundreds of individuals and organizations across the country that are dedicated to this work. And getting to know each other, even in the same community, is so important. And 3M, I know, is a gathering point for that here in Minnesota. And so it's so good to see that pie chart up there with academia, government, and industry all showing up to the table, And look, working together, we're going to make a significant amount of progress. Now, today, we're going to work together to co-construct that national plan. Because what you'll find out from Travis and the rest of the team that are here is that we're hearing common themes around the country. And this is a big country, a big, diverse, amazingly diverse country. And yet we're hearing these common themes. And these common themes are being heard at Morgan State, where we had one of these, and they're being heard at SNAP. Now, think about that. These are very different. And at Micron in Idaho, we're hearing such different, from such different areas of the country, and yet we're hearing common themes. And what that tells us is there's a few places where we've got to coordinate our work, where we've got to pull together, and where we've got to have the government's help in ensuring that you all have the resources that you need, and that they are backing they're backing the activities that you are doing. And I got to say that it matters. Going back to that vision, it matters who is involved in designing the future. I'm more than convinced after 3.5 years in this job that we are living in a golden era of science and technology. When I was a kid, I thought I wanted to hang out with Einstein in 1905, or I wanted to hang out with the folks who worked out the central dogma of biology back in the 60s and 70s. But I don't think that anymore. It's still be nice to have breakfast with Einstein, but that's not what I think anymore. What I think now is we are living in the absolute golden era of science and technology in every discipline. Everywhere I go, when I visit a place like 3M, when I visit a place like Micron, when I visit a place like Morgan State University, I see extraordinary science and discovery that has implications for our children and our grandchildren that we have a hard time even fathoming. And so when we do this work, it's not just because it's the right moral thing to do, which it is. It's because it's going to play out for what the future is going to look like. We're creating treatments, cures. We never used to say the word cures. We're seeing the beginnings of the universe through the JWST. We are building technology that can pull carbon out of the air and hopefully help us mitigate climate change. This is what's possible. Now, on our best days, on our absolute best days, the future looks incredibly bright. We can heal the sick, we can feed the hungry, and we can protect the planet. On our worst days, because of the multipolar world that we live in, we are pulled apart. We go off to our corners. We use science and technology for ill as opposed to for good. Now, both of those futures are possible, but neither one of them is inevitable. Neither one of them is inevitable. It's the work of people like the folks in this room and the rooms all around the country where the STEM Opportunity Alliance has been active that is going to change. It's going to change what that future looks like and ensure that we go down the first path. And part of that is with partners like Morgan State and partners like 3M, partners that understand that future, understand what's possible, understand that there is a hopeful future that is driven by ingenuity and optimism and technology and progress. And so I'm so excited that we get to be here on the 3M campus. I'm so excited we get to be in a room where you see all the products around that were developed in the past, and that legacy is amazing, but the future is even brighter if we choose to go in that direction. So I want to turn it over to John, and thank you, John, for hosting us.
Well, thank you. And the future is incredibly bright as well, from our view. And thank you and welcome everyone to the today's STEM Opportunity Alliance workshop. It really does focus on equitable and excellence in the STEM workforce. And we're pleased to really be a partner of this event and pleased that everyone's here as well today. Because we as a company know that STEM and STEM equity is important to innovation. We create all differentiated products. That's who we are as a science-based innovative company. And you cannot create differentiated products without a diverse and differentiated workforce as well. And so it's a thesis and fundamental for what we do at 3M is around equity and diversity and driving that through our innovation models as we go. But it's beyond even what 3M thinks. It's actually scientifically proven that in a study published by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, they found that a more diverse team is more likely to outperform a more homogeneous one, even when the homogeneous team is considered to have greater abilities individually. We also know that science is key to solving a lot of tough challenges we face in the world today, whether that's climate change, food safety, or health and medical issues. And having people from diverse backgrounds who bring different experiences lead to better solutions. That's why at 3M, we support a goal of 5 million STEM experiences in skilled trade to the underrepresented individuals by 2025. That's a really good thing because the careers in STEM are growing faster than any other career. So it also creates a pay equity and higher salaries. So by encouraging individuals and populations in currently underrepresented STEM, we can alleviate economic disparity, accelerate social equity, and contribute actually innovative solutions to the future of the world in any of the fields. We're excited to help elevate the work being done here in Minnesota and to be part of that influencing that national STEM equity strategy. I want to thank OSTP and the Doris Duke Foundation for their partnership as well in this. And I think it'll be a great workshop to line up the agenda. It looks tremendous today. It should be some great discussions as we go. In a minute or two, I'd like to invite Representative McCollum of the Minnesota 4th District to the stage. As many of you know, Representative McCollum brings a lifetime of public service to her current position in Congress, having served at all levels of government while representing the residents of Minnesota's capital city, St. Paul, as well as residents of Dakota and most of Washington County here in the state. Specifically in 2000, Representative McCollum made history as only the second Minnesota woman elected to serve Congress since our statehood in 1858. Prior to Congress, she served in the Minnesota House of Representatives and was elected assistant leader by her colleagues 3 different times. Prior to that, she served her neighbors in North St. Paul City Council, and prior to her serving in elected office, Representative McCollum's career included teaching high school social science. Throughout her career in public service, Betty has distinguished her leadership on multiple issues of critical concern to the state of Minnesota and the American people, including healthcare, the environment, energy, transportation, defense, and many more. We had a great conversation on many of those areas. Of particular relevance to today's event, Representative McCollum is also a leading champion for excellence in education, including STEM education, STEM equity, and improving educational outcomes for individuals at all stages of learning, from pre-K through advanced education. I'm really honored and privileged to introduce Representative McCollum. I think she's one of the finest examples of public service that we have. She consistently and constantly is thinking of solutions for her constituents and the American people. And with that, it's really a privilege and honor to invite Representative McCollum to the stage.